Hello there, World of Tankers. Welcome to the channel. Hopefully all of you are doing well out there. I'm, of course, your host, Untitled Blitz, and in today's video, oh boy, do we have a treat for you guys. We're going to be talking about a brand new vehicle that nobody has talked about, at least to what I'm aware, on the North American server, the Kanonenjagdpanzer 105. Now, this is going to be a brand new Tier 8 German tank destroyer, kind of like an E25 crossbred with an RU-251, and already it's got my taste buds tingling. I love the sounding of a 105mm tank destroyer, really small, with a great camouflage rating, zipping around the map super quickly with great DPM. It's got a lot of good things going for it. And of course, I do have these statistics for you guys as well. Now, the way to find these statistics was actually to go to a Russian leaking website where they had found the statistics. So that's why I really couldn't find anything in the English language, but I translated all the Russian words, took a little bit of time, but we did get them. So of course, if you enjoyed today's video and you want to see more like it, you want to see more leaks, or you want to see other stuff like that, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below, as it helps out the channel a crazy amount. But without further ado, I'll get into a replay so you got some background gameplay while I am talking about the vehicle. Don't bore you guys out. But first of all, I'll bring up these statistics and we can break it down. Now, one thing you need to remember is this vehicle is currently going to be under super test, which pretty much means that all these statistics can be subject to change. So if one of these things is too overpowered on the vehicle and Wargaming decides to nerf it, of course, before they release it, they definitely can. So remember that these statistics can change and probably will change, as it's not even in testing yet before the tank is finally released. Now, getting right into it, it's going to have 1150 hit points, which with the hit point boost is going to have around 1200. So not terrible on the hit points. What that means is you will be able to take at least 3 shells from any 120mm gun. Not terrible. That means you will be confidently able to rush aggressive at the end of the game, maybe change positions. That's one thing I do like about the Kanonen, is that it's going to have a decent amount of HP, but not enough to really tank any shells, because when you take a look at the main armor, oh boy, 75mm on the front. Yeah, it's pretty much based off of an RU-251 chassis, and yeah, the RU-251 being one of the lightest light tanks in Blitz, it's really not going to bounce a lot of shells. So you got to be very careful with the Kanonen on pushing aggressive, because vehicles like IS-5s will probably be able to shoot right in your lower plate with high explosive, taking off, if they got a high roll, half of your hit points in a singular shell. So you got to be very careful, especially from tanks like the ISU, the SU-30, Scorpion G. Those are all going to rip you to shreds if they know how to penetrate the tank, because the side armor and the rear, 30 and 15, ho ho ho. Yeah, you really don't have the most of armor on the tank. Now, view range is 250 meters, which isn't great, but it's going to be enough to spot most mediums, because you actually have a very nice camouflage rating of 62 when sitting still. You've got 46 while moving and 13 while shooting. Now, shooting, of course, you're never going to have a great camouflage rating, but you do actually have a fairly decent camouflage while you're sitting still, because this is without any equipment or anything else like that stuck on it. An example, like my E3 here has got a way better camouflage rating than the Kanonen would, because I've, of course, got my, I think it's Camonet? I do. I actually have Camonet sitting on this vehicle, which helps me out big time when I'm sitting still and with my camouflage. So that's one thing that I'd also probably run on the Kanonen is Camonet, and that's also one thing that why I can't really say the view range is because view range changes a lot on the tank at the same time, depending on what equipment you're running and everything else like that. But the camouflage rating is going to be very good. It's going to be good enough to sit at the back of the map and not really worry about being detected by any vehicles less than 250 meters away. Now, DPM 3,042. That's a very impressive amount. And if you're putting on gun rammer, it's going to be about 3,300 damage per minute. An extremely strong amount of damage per minute for a tier 8 vehicle, especially a really small nippy one like this. So it's got great DPM, only a 6.9 second reload, and mind you, this is a 105, dealing 350 average damage per shot. So it's really going to be packing a punch with a super quick reload. With rammer, you're going to be sitting at around probably a 6 second or so reload, maybe 6.2. That's really impressive. Something that I love about this vehicle is how quick that reload is. Kind of like you're just grabbing a leopard gun before the buff and bringing it down 2 tiers. The penetration is great. In the APCR, I think it's going to be APCR. I had to guess on what the shell would be, but just guessing it, I think it's going to be APCR, heat, and HE. Well, of course, HE. I can guess that one, but I'm guessing APCR, heat, and HE. And the APCR is going to have 255 millimeters of standard pen. The heat is going to have 300 200 millimeters. This might be one of the few vehicles I don't even need to run calibrated on because I want to get so much DPM out. It's really going to be super, super strong. And the HE is going to be sitting at 53 millimeters, which is going to be decent, judging that you're going to be dealing 400 damage per shot with the high explosive. So yeah, it's really got a lot of good things going for it. 350 standard damage. It's 300 on the premium and 400 on the HE. And with an aiming time at 3.5 seconds, combine that with the fantastic dispersion that most medium tanks have a tier 10 at 0.307, it's going to be a dead-eye accurate tank destroyer, which is pretty dang crazy. So far the statistics look, as you can see, fantastic. It's lightly armored, but to counter that, it's got a fantastic gun on accuracy, DPM, aiming time. It's really not going to miss. And the gun depression doesn't let you down either. You'd expect a tank destroyer, especially a very low down one, to not have necessarily the best gun depression, but it actually carries the same gun depression as an RU, I think, sitting at 8 degrees. Very, very impressive. 15 degrees of gun elevation as well. It's going to be a very, very adept vehicle at being able to work most ridgelines, something that I'm very, very excited about because it's going to be able to just be this little nippy tank that uses its gun depression on certain ridgelines, and yeah, it's going to be very, very nice, especially when you take a look at the top speed. This is why I was calling it nippy. It goes 70 forwards. This will be the fastest tank destroyer in Blitz by a landslide. It's going to go 70 kilometers per hour. That's ridiculously quick. So yeah, you're really not going to want to mess with the top speed on this tank. It goes 20 in reverse and an average speed of 36 kilometers per hour because of the fantastic horsepower to ton ratio of 19.2. So yeah, this thing is going to be quick, ludicrously quick, and I'm really excited for it. Now, you'll see it only weighs 26 tons. Very, very light. That means that anything that you ram will easily rip you to shreds. You probably don't want to end up ramming all the vehicles on the enemy team, as you'll probably be falling apart very quickly, but at the same time, this is more of a very quickly, should I say, repositioning tank. The nice thing about having mobility, and as well the traverse speed is very nice as well at 47.98, it's going to be mobile. And what that means is that if you're noticing that your team needs help, you can push in and support them with the good DPM. Or if you notice, hey, my team is being rushed on here and I want to push to a different spot to help them out, well, you've got so much mobility. You're going to be able to change position so quickly in this vehicle and get away from flanks. Even medium tanks, you're going to out-accelerate with the power-to-weight ratio and the terrain resistances on this tank, which are 130 on the hard, 104 on soft, and as well, not 104 on soft, 70 on soft, and 104 on medium. It's going to be very, very mobile. So I'm really super excited for the tank, and I really think, just looking at the statistics, it's going to be an extremely strong vehicle. But I don't know if it's going to be overpowered, because the thing is that it seems, for me personally, that it will be an overpowered tank. Kind of like the Scorpion G, just a little bit smaller. It's like half the height of a Scorpion G, which is, of course, pretty dang cool. Not only is it half the height of a Scorpion G, but it's also got more DPM. It's got a very similar accurate gun, and it's just got a lot of great things going for it. Well, sorry about that. I had the ambulance and the police going by my house, so I decided to mute my mic and pause the replay for a second. But as I was saying, this tank is going to be so flexible on a lot of different areas. It's got the mobility to reposition, which is great. It's got the DPM to support itself. If it's in a really tricky scenario, you're going to be able to support your teammates. I really do think that this looks to be such a nice tank, and that's why I'm extremely excited for it to come into World of Tanks Blitz. I really wanted a really mobile, accurate, kind of E25-like vehicle at Tier 8, because Tier 8, I think, is one of my favorite tiers in Blitz. Well, not think, I know it is, because it's got such a mix of vehicles where you've got so many diverse tanks. You've got the T-49, and then you've got really slow tanks like the German Super Heavies now, the VK-100 and the 168, and then you keep changing. I think Tier 8 is the most diverse tier. It's got the most different types of playstyles in the game, and that's one thing I really do love about it, and it's something that I really think that Kanonen's going to bring a whole different playstyle to Blitz once again, with the different personality and how quick and everything else like it's going to be. So as I said, I don't really know or think that it's going to be overpowered. It's really hard to tell because statistically for a smart player, it seems like it's going to be an extremely strong tank if you know how to run it. Just like an E25, it's got that buffed alpha, and alpha is key, as I always say in my videos. So I do think that the tank is going to be strong, and I even think for an average player, if they know the bushes to go to and they know how to penetrate the enemies, which isn't going to be super hard judging that you've got such a ludicrous amount of pen, I really think it's going to be good, and I'm extremely excited for it to pop out into the stores. Now, this is where a bit of the issues come up, because one thing we've noticed about Wargaming lately is they've been doing the old thing where they just put vehicles in crates with no charms. They've brought the Centurion Mark V, or AAC, in crates, 3% drop chance with no charms, and as much as I like the vehicle, in fact, I'm loving the tank. It's mobile, it's not ridiculously overpowered, but it's good enough to really hold its own. It's got so many great statistics going for it. I'm really liking this Centurion, but at the same time, having a 3% drop chance, and that means that you could open up 100 crates and not get the vehicle guaranteed over, $500 worth of crates and not get a tier 8 vehicle guaranteed is ludicrous in my personal opinion, especially when what you get out of the crates are not great rewards. So that's one thing I really don't like about Wargaming as a company. I wish that they would make it so that people can spend their money, either get gold out of these crates, their money's worth in gold back, or at the same time, they could get the vehicle guaranteed after a certain price, maybe $50, maybe $100, because it's not fair for people to spend so much money on the game and not get tanks guaranteed. And it's one thing I'll never really get off on. I don't take it as hard as I used to, because of course I make money on YouTube, and I have the ability, thanks to you guys, to be able to afford to buy tier 8 vehicle crates, and not feel terrible about spending money, because of course I'm making it back. But at the same time, it's a hassle, and we shouldn't have to spend $200. Some people I know have spent $300 to get their hands on the Centurion, and that's unfair for people like that, where somebody else can get it for $5 on their first crate. In my opinion, that's unfair. Everybody should have the same price tag for a vehicle if they want to get their hands on it, but I guess that's just how Wargaming is going to do it. So, as I said, I'm excited for the vehicle. I don't know how Wargaming is going to be bringing it out, but you should be able to see it start entering Super Test very, very soon. So keep your eyes open. I'm going to be keeping mine open as well, but hopefully you enjoyed today's video. As always, if you did, and you liked, I guess you liked it, you learned something new, please consider smashing that subscribe button down below, as it helps out the channel a crazy, crazy amount. But other than that, hopefully all of you are doing well out there. Stay happy, stay healthy, and to be seeing you around in the next one.